Every single day, we're digging deeper into the David case, and every day the timeline just seems to get more and more sordid. I did a big update for you guys where I did a full breakdown of the new timeline that private investigator Steve Fisher put out there. We filled in a few of the gaps and really built up a very terrifying picture of what was going on in between the alleged murder and the dismemberment. It seemed like there were a lot of promotional activities. David flew out to play shows while the body was, I guess, in some people's opinion, still in his house. Could have already been in the car. It looks like he came back from shows to chop up the body. It's insane. But what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to break down the timeline again, but from a different perspective, because in this video, we're going to look closer at the timeline as far as how long did David actually plan this murder. Yes, we now know that he has been charged with murder. It seems to be that there are official allegations that he was in a relationship with this underage minor, Celeste. We can deduce that from a lot of the information we've seen around, but now we have officially got it from the authorities that that's what was going on. But it makes you wonder, when did he plan to kill her? A lot of theories that have been going around is that actually their relationship ended around like September, October 2024. Maybe they were broken up for a few weeks and David might have reconnected. There might have been some threats. Allegedly, one of the special conditions of the charges is that David murdered a witness to an investigation. That investigation was an investigation into David messing with minors. So he had a motive to take her out. He wanted to protect his lucrative music career. But the question is, when did it happen? He was accused of lying in wait, setting up a trap, inviting her to the crib, and then ambushing her and murdering her. But when did the decision made for him to actually kill her? I don't know for sure, but in this video, we will basically be taking a closer look and trying to get to the bottom and looking at some theories as to when actually he planned to do this horrible, horrible thing. So as you can see here from the criminal complaint, okay, it basically gives a couple of clues that I think are really interesting, because what's very, very interesting about this breakdown is that essentially, you know, it says the period of continual essay to this minor occurred on or between September 7th, 2024 and September 7th, 2023 and 2024. Now, that's her birthday, interestingly enough. And there were rumors that he'd actually first met her on her birthday, I think perhaps potentially the year before. But it seems to suggest that perhaps their relationship ended after her birthday in 2024. Now, I don't know for sure, but I do think that this date, the fact that it isn't on or between September 7th, 2023, all the way up to April 20th or 23rd, 2025, that makes me think that perhaps there is some proof that the relationship actually ended. But even more dark, the plot to murder her must have occurred sometime from September 8th to April 2023, and we need to get to the bottom of exactly when this plan was made. So an alleged Discord message has been circulating from somebody claiming to know Celeste, and basically claiming the two were actually no longer together in December of 2024. So this is a very interesting Discord message. It says, last time me and Celeste talked, she was drunk and spam calling David. What's going on with that? Spam calling David. They have matching tattoos from when they dated. David used to have pictures of her up on his Instagram, but after they broke up, he took it off. Only thing throwing me off is the age. I'm just going to assume she lied about her age to everyone in our friend group back then, because they did date, and then 2 days after that call with me and her, she deleted her whole account. Pictures 2 also looks just like her. No way it's another Hispanic Celeste with the same curls face and everything. It doesn't make the same sense. It doesn't make sense, okay? People saying it gets to a point with coincidences. Now, I think that's very interesting, and it's clear that the breakup took place. Now, here's where I think that there is a very, very good case to make for David doing a cover-up and David planning this murder and basically not being pushed because he made this decision himself and is disgusting, allegedly. But as far as the circumstances that begun to brew where he felt like the only way out of this was murder, okay? It's not acceptable, but I'm just trying to make you understand how this depraved PDF murderer might have been thinking. So it's saying if they broke up, all right, they were together, she was drunk calling, they broke up, all right, and they're basically saying that that would have been the December. Now, this is when we get to this infamous image. Now, I believe it's believed that this picture was taken around December the 14th, 2025. This is the image that allegedly shows David paying off other kids that knew Celeste. It says, this was the pic bro showed me, I'm not capping. And that is David in a parking lot in Lake Elsinore. It's been geolocated. He's literally handing money over to kids, allegedly, for them to stay silent. Now, I wonder if this is a situation where they broke up, he needed to keep this a secret for his career, he had loose ends, he's doing anything he could to try and make this go away, he's paying off friends. If that didn't work, after this December link up, that's when he might have decided to murder her. He might have actually crafted a whole narrative of bringing her back, getting her comfortable, and then murdering her, because we saw them together on New Year's Eve 2024 going into 2025. But this was just a few weeks before, so if they're broken up in December and she's deleting all of her Instagram, then he's pulling up to Lake Elsinore in his Tesla, handing out money to these teens that know stuff about it. It's not adding up, right? It's not making too much sense. Or it is making too much sense. It's not making sense why he would be doing this, but it is making sense why, if this payoff approach didn't work out, that he would then feel like, okay, well, we're going to have to go to plan Z, which is unfortunately murder. So obviously people geolocated this. It's Lake Elsinore. We know it's Lake Elsinore. That's another picture of him getting out of his car, walking over to them, same fit, in Lake Elsinore. It's been geolocated with the telephone poles. And it says popular artist David giving kids over $1,000 to keep a secret, and it involves a minor. December the 14th, 2024. That's when it was taken. So we know that now. What's really weird is obviously the rumor was that they were broken up and he was trying to cover this up. But, okay, here's the thing. On December the 30th, 2024, just before New Year's Eve, all right, David and Celeste would be photographed together in downtown LA. And these were pictures that Steve Fisher apparently got from the property. I guess the LAPD didn't search it quite well enough. And Steve Fisher, the private investigator, shout out to him, I hope I'll meet him soon. He found pictures on an SD card in the property and he posted them. All right. I don't think the LAPD were too happy about this, but shout out to Steve because he's putting that info out there. He got that work. Said on the night of December 30th through to the morning of December 31st, 2024, David and Celeste were together in downtown Los Angeles, where several photos were taken in public. Celeste was 14 years old at the time, about 70 miles from her home in Lake Elsinore. Whether she was sober that night was open to interpretation, but there's photo evidence of them together again on January the 2nd, 2025. Then on January 8th, Sizable Crew was filming a music video with David out of state, and by January the 11th, David is in his hometown in Texas. On January the 20th, 2025, he's on a Delta flight. Question is, where was Celeste between January 3rd and January 20th? Can anyone account for her during that time? There were many people present at the music video shoot. Did anyone see her there? What about his hometown in Texas? Does anyone even have any proof of life for Celeste Rivas Hernandez after January the 2nd, 2025? There she is, right? They was together. He had this knife, and this knife matches the description of the knife that was used to kill her, all right? It is what it is. This creepy barn. Lot of very unusual unanswered questions. Now, interestingly enough, during that night, you know, we saw that picture of David holding the knife, and I believe there were even other pictures of the knife. Right, there it is. I'm not going to lie to you people. I think that was the knife used to kill her. I think it was. That's just my opinion, all right? Everything's alleged opinions, but that's my opinion, okay? And SF posted, he said, David, were you sitting on this hill next to a drainage gully thinking about what you did to her? Were you thinking about how it looked and sounded when you sawed her body into pieces? Steve's doing a little too much with that caption, but hey, we like holding David's little tiny feet to the fire. And so basically the day after that, on the official New Year's Eve, December the 31st, 2024, that's when David and Celeste were actually seen partying with members of David's inner circle. Okay, so there would be this going around. SF put out a full post with more pictures. Said on December the 31st, 2024, at around 10 p.m., several people were at David's house. Although Celeste Rivas Hernandez is not clearly visible in any of the photos from that evening, we believe she was present. The iPhone she had previously been pictured with appears to match the phone case seen on the table, along with a Hello Kitty mug. Another photo, which appears to have been taken by David, shows what are likely Celeste's fingers on a bottle. The phone that's likely Celeste's appears to be on the Wi-Fi settings screen and connected to the Wi-Fi network, even though iPhones use a private Wi-Fi address feature. The address remains fixed for a specific network, meaning it stays the same each time the device reconnects to that router. Hopefully, law enforcement investigators have reviewed the router logs to determine exactly when Celeste's phone and everyone else's phones were connected to the home Wi-Fi network, and compared that information against the statements each person provided about when they were at the house and who else was there, including Celeste. For example, if individuals in the photos, including these photos, and many others, claim they did not see Celeste or were not at the house, yet the router logs show their phone was connected to the Wi-Fi, that would raise serious questions. We cannot forget about Celeste or the justice she deserves. It's now been more than 5 months and no charges have been filed. Now they have. The last photo of Celeste is not from that night. It's from another time and meant to show her phone to compare with the phone on the table. So I'll show you these pics, these images. Grab something from under the desk because my feet are cold. And look, we got Neo there toasting up a bottle. It says most likely Celeste is taking this photo, and that's her phone. You could also see the Hello Kitty mug there. David's hitting a vape, right? I don't know if he's going to be getting any vapes in the county. But anyway, they're saying that's Celeste taking the photo. Oh, sorry, that's David taking the photo. And the little yellow circle on the right-hand side there would seem to suggest that that actually might be Celeste's hand. And then we've got the next image, which is sort of a zoomed-in close-up of the phone on the Wi-Fi. And shout out to Steve Fisher. Honestly, I feel like my guy Steve Fisher needs to be in the official LAPD detective department, because realistically, he is doing exceptional police work. Okay, if you think I'm a snitch investigator, Steve got the goods. Steve low key, he actually deserves kudos for taking down David. But anyway, my foot heater is now activated. So that is Celeste there. I don't know if that picture was taken on the same day, but it's a bad look. And so within a day or two of this, we would be seeing another picture on the timeline. January the 2nd, 2025, David and Celeste would actually be seen at the Los Angeles National Forest, and there would be a bunch of pictures going around. And it was very, very interesting and coincidental. It says, David wrote an interesting word in the picture he took in early 2025, coinciding with the billboard. Put this up, all right? This says she could mean Japanese kanji for death. If you turn this upside down, this high looks like 14, which would have been her age. David put, my site is beautiful. And then this was posted as well. So he posted this after New Year's. They reset this in LA. I want to go and see this at some point. But it's a list of how many smoking deaths are caused. And he said death from smoking on his Finsta. And this is when we're starting to get more people giving their theories on how premeditated this murder was. It says it's becoming more and more apparent that David likely premeditated and planned everything, and Celeste was unalived earlier in the year. It's getting more obvious based on various details. The pictures David took of the rock that says hi, which later Jin, big shout out to her for finding these amazing things, reverted the picture and noticed the number 14, which was Celeste's age at the time. It's possible that David intentionally used the word she. The letter S is unfinished on purpose, and not the other words on the rock. The Japanese she means death. The number 4 is also pronounced shu in Japanese, meaning it's the same word for death and making it a symbol of bad luck. David also has the number 4 in his name. Holy shit, I didn't actually clock that ever. That's crazy. Every year the billboard resets to 0 at midnight on New Year's Eve, and in David's video of the smoking deaths billboard, it displayed the number 1813 deaths, which was posted on January 2nd, 2025 with a Japanese caption that translates to death from smoking. Very likely the same day where they were together and taking pictures at the beach, the National Forest area and Baldwin Hills. The smoking deaths board, him putting out Japanese heartbreak and goodbye songs on his Insta post, and David writing the word she on the rock. Seems like no coincidence he purposefully left all of this. David continued posting in Japanese on this Instagram account until January 28th, when he posted about feeling abhorrently sad of late. After that, he stopped posting altogether until May, which strongly suggests that Celeste was no longer with us by then. Okay. Interesting. So after this, all right, that's when we get to what would have been allegedly Celeste's last known photograph, and it was on a camera that was apparently owned by David, and this potentially means that David didn't see Celeste in the days leading up to the murder, because the last time that David was seemingly pictured with Celeste was on January the 2nd. So it sounds like he pulled her back into his orbit for New Year's. They linked up, they hung out, they did their thing. He's out here posing with a knife. They're going into the woods. I don't know if this was him planning it out. And then by the end of January, he's talking about he's been so sad and he can't post. But she's still alive until April. And it makes me think maybe she was going to expose him. He paid off the friends. He got back with her thinking he's going to control her. He's going to control the situation. Things went left. He was abhorrently sad at the end of January. And at some point, he must have concocted the plan to entice her back in April and get rid of her. Maybe he was threatened. Maybe the friends weren't keeping as quiet as they'd been paid to be. But yeah, so this says 1 year ago today, January the 2nd, 2025, the last known photo date that Steve Fisher's investigation has uncovered of Celeste. It's important to emphasize law enforcement investigators have access to more extensive resources and very well may have images or evidence from after this date. So that's not to suggest anything specific happened on that date, only that it's the last confirmed time and date stamped piece of evidence I have showing when Celeste was still alive. According to the image's metadata, the photo was taken at 5:05 p.m. on January the 2nd, 2025. Geolocation analysis says it was taken in Baldwin Hills, California. So it says after this, all right, David would post more photos to his social media on January the 3rd, 2025. This was going around. David posted these on his Twitter. It says, took these pics while listening to album mixes. Now, this ended up becoming the front cover of his Withered album with some animations on there. I believe this is the forest where he posted the picture of 14 spray painted on a rock. This actually does look a lot like the little walk that he went on with Celeste where she was seen in her last picture, but I can't confirm that. And that's David looking like a little bitch. So, and that's a hoodie that Celeste was seen wearing in the last picture of her that was taken alive. So again, just incrimination all across the board, non-stop incrimination. But it would continue on from here, and we're still wondering how and when and why he planned and decided to execute this alleged murder. Okay, so the next thing would be on February the 4th, 2025. This is when David announces his Withered album would be released basically later on. But even more interesting, okay, he would announce in February the 4th, 2025, that this album would be coming on the 25th of April. And I wonder whether this is around the time he planned the murder, because I think there's too many coincidences. The album's called Withered, which is what happens to a body after it's beginning to decay. He posted decay a bunch of times on Discord. There's basically a bunch of little hints that I think, just in my opinion, I think he might have planned the murder, and he might have planned the murder around the album. That's my honest opinion. He said, Withered the album, 25th of April. Thank you all eternally for waiting on me. The album means so much to me. You have no idea the blood, sweat, and tears that came with trying to create this project over the past 2 years. What else were you working on over 2 years, David? What else were you trying to do? Cover up blood, sweat, and tears. Crazy. Constantly starting over and over and over again till there was nothing left on this audio landscape of a canvas than thoughts, melodies, and emotions that were unequivocally me. Pre-order the album. Okay. I think he was planning it. I think he was planning his album rollout alongside the murder. That's just my opinion, okay? So the day before Valentine's Day, and this is a very important day for David, he starts teasing his bloody t-shirts. And again, it just makes me feel like this was premeditated. So it's a tarpaulin. This isn't the sheet she was wrapped up in. I've looked into that. There was a rumor that maybe he put real blood on these shirts, but I don't think she'd been murdered at this point. But I do think he knew what he was planning. I think he knew what he was doing. I think that this was all part of the law, and he got a little bit too wrapped up in what was going on. Now, from the 12th of April to the 20th of April, which is getting closer to when the murder would have taken place, David would be performing at Coachella, and he would be partying with his friends out there, and this is also where he would debut a new red tattoo on his hand. You've seen this.
Okay, yeah. Rome to the dome.
Tired of seeing these clowns, man, but look, it is very interesting. All right, we've got to keep holding their feet to the fire. So, this is apparently where he revealed a new Jesus tattoo. Look at this. What is that?
On my hand it says Jesus. Jesus. Water.
So what's interesting, right, is he debuts this hand tattoo. Now, we saw this in an image posted, I believe, the day after the murder, and his hand looked a lot more sore in the middle from what looked like, you know, trauma from stabbing somebody and the knife kind of coming back into your hand. Now that we're finding out that he got this tattoo before then, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't potentially used as a cover-up for some kind of injury. I don't think he's that smart, but hey, it is an interesting piece of the puzzle. Now, we're getting closer in the timeline to the moment the actual murder took place. So on April the 21st, 2025, allegedly 2 days before the murder took place, David would announce the pre-sale tickets to his world tour for a tour that would be beginning, or the pre-sale that will be beginning for his world tour on April the 23rd, 2025. That is the date. Pre-sale starts Wednesday the 24th of April at 10 a.m. So I don't know if he planned it. All right. But that very date, okay, who's this guy he's talking about? He's the only celebrity to comment on this case. That's cap. That's a bunch of cap. But anyway, the day after this announcement and the day before the alleged murder, that's when David would post an interesting photo dump on his Instagram, okay? My last photo dump before my album drops, that's crazy. Also, the last photo dump before you allegedly committed a heinous murder that will put you away for life. Very interesting. Okay. Got a different cross on his hand, or is that the same one? I don't know, but it looks different in this picture. Out here chilling with the guys. Won't be doing that for a long time. Very interesting. Straight crash dummy behavior. All right. So that's now we get to the current timeline. So this will be some stuff you've seen before, but now you've got all the context. You'll be able to understand it more. So on the day of the alleged murder, that's when David announces his album, all right, is dropping the next day. Okay. Not only that, he shows off the album, he's dancing around, but that is Celeste's handbag in the background. All right. We know that's Celeste's handbag in the background. So we know that she probably came to his property at this point, brought her bag, unless it was left there from a time before. But it seems like the best guess would be that she came to his property. She was enticed and lured to the property by him, and he's doing all this promo. He's still got a promo run that he's got to do. He's got to fit in a little murder while he's doing a promo run. It's actually crazy. So the murder allegedly goes down this very day while he's doing all this nonsense. And then the very day after, that's when he announces that his Withered World Tour would be on sale in countries all over the world. So we don't want to get any, we don't want to give him any promo. But basically, officially on sale in every city, and the album drops tonight. Imagine him sat there doing these promo posts while a body is literally rotting in his property. It's insanity. And he would make more posts. He would post about his album. Okay, my album out now. Let's effing go. Thank you all. Love you. He's out here cheesing as a body's rotting in his home. It is unfathomable. Now, if you want to know more about how he actually ended up going on tour and, you know, allegedly just swanning off after the murder happened, go and watch the video that I posted yesterday about the new David timeline gets even worse. That's much more of a look at the actual timeline of like, you know, how the events went down and how the actual days around the murder played out. So go and look at that if you want more information on specifically what he was doing in the days after. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to just under a week after the murder took place to April the 28th, 2025. And what you'll see there is this is when David appears in an interview and he talks about his project, and there's some interesting tidbits in there. So we'll look at a few minutes of this.
So we talk about like the interludes and like even the like the verbal exchanges, because they really do punctuate.
So you're talking about the interludes and the verbal exchanges on the album. The album has interludes where Celeste's voice is heard. So she is dead, potentially rotting in his property while he's off doing these interviews. Now, we don't know exactly when he popped out for this interview, but the interviewer is aware of the skits on the album. So it's likely, unless they got an advance copy and did this interview before the album even dropped, the album would have been out at this point, probably a few days before this, 3 days before this. And I wonder whether this was a quick interview they recorded that they put it out straight after. But the fact that he is put on the spot and asked about the skits on the album and he's talking about the woman that he allegedly killed is chilling. And seeing how he tackles this question with everything that's going on, just put your mind into this man's body and just imagine you're at an interview being asked questions about a girl that appeared on the interludes of your album and she is literally at home rotting in your property. How insane is this? And for him to even be able to tackle this type of question just shows psychopathy on another level.
Wait, the album. And like there's some exchanges between you and a female. Seems to be your love interest, right? What is that adding to the
Oh, confirmed, yeah? That's your love interest that's on the album. What's the underage one that's dead?
story?
It's a whole different layer of depth for an album. I feel like, especially for me, when I'm having dialogue now and things that add to the story. I'm talking about the invisible string theory, which is a common theme and one of the motifs for the project. I really wanted the listeners to feel like they're reading a book almost, and they get into a different chapter with every song. But there's also that kind of pause where they can take every song in by itself and then have this kind of visual landscape in this interlude to kind of be in my head, in my mindset, and why I wrote the project like this and how everything went, just to like keep them even more interested and connected throughout the project for sure.
At the end of the interlude, correct me if I'm wrong here, she says, I love you. You don't respond. She says, I love you again. It repeats itself and you don't respond. Was that done purposely?
Absolutely, because the next song after that is This Really Love? So it's kind of like a lead into that kind of a transition type thing, you know?
So the fact that he is just smiling like a Cheshire cat while they're talking about, oh, you said you didn't say you loved the person back on the song. It's just dark. And the fact that he can sit there with a straight face and a smile talking about somebody that was literally rotting, who's on the album, is just insanity. So let's keep going for a few minutes.
So it's kind of like a lead into that kind of a transition type thing, you know?
I believe the last time you were here, didn't you say you never experienced love or hadn't been in love? You didn't.
Yeah, I wasn't in a relationship then. Nah.
But today you are, or you?
Nah,
are?
I've been through a couple. I'm single still right now, but I've been through a few, and they've taught me a lot
Look
of
at
things.
his facial
and a couple I'm single
expressions, man.
still.
Talking about I'm a single still right now. You're not talking about how your minor girlfriend just got murdered days before this.
Wasn't in a relationship then. Nah.
But today you are, or you?
Nah,
are?
I've been through a couple. I'm single still right now, but I've been through a few.
He does these little ticks. There was the other one where they were asking about the girl, and he was like, "Oh, I can't tell you who that is for copyright reasons." When he's got these tells. He's got these tells. He goes out of his body. He turns into a different person when he's confronted about some of this stuff, and I think that's one of those examples.
But today you are, or you?
Nah,
are?
I've been through a couple. I'm single still right now, but I've been through a few, and they've taught me a lot of things, and they've shown me what love is and what love isn't, and how to approach it, and how to be human with it, and not be so artist, you know, and not look for the things to write about in these types of situations. And I've kind of been more mature about it and getting emotionally intelligent with it. And with this interlude, it's kind of like telling my view on what the invisible string theory is, or the scarlet string, or the whatever. This is so many different names.
Is that
for
like
it.
that? Is it also connected to like the rope that's around?
Yes,
In the
in the
music
album
video?
cover, I'm covered in this string, which is representative of the invisible string theory. But throughout the entire project, I wanted everything to feel connected. I wanted everything to feel holistic and have a through line that everybody could understand. And with the interlude, it's kind of explaining from my perspective how it was taught to me, because that's a real conversation that happened. And the irony of it was that person that was saying, I love you, she's not in my life anymore. So it's like,
She's dead. What's wrong with this guy? Just gives me chills, man. Like, not in a good way.
and the irony of it was that person that was saying, I love you, she's not in my life anymore. So it's like, people say that the string can't be cut and the connection cannot be severed, but I feel like it can sometimes. And that's why I wanted to put, afterlife and
Severed, yeah? Severed.
connection cannot be severed, but I feel like it can sometimes. And that's why I wanted to put, afterlife and all these songs that feel like endings and
Afterlife, yeah?
conclusions and goodbyes on the project to kind of solidify that message of this is the end of something, not the beginning.
And can you break down the invisible string theory?
Is it the end of something, the end of someone's life, maybe?
Yeah, so basically it's like this, it's a South Korean ideology.
So anyway, all right, let's move on. You can go and watch this interview because there's a lot to it and there's a lot of self-snitching going on in this. But anyway, okay, David just kept on going with his life. He's doing interviews talking about the person he murdered, all right, in a weird little way. And basically, he would essentially go missing for 5 days, okay? We talked in the previous video about the timeline in between him doing his shows and these appearances and these press runs. For 5 days, right at the start of May, he basically disappeared. He didn't post. But in the days basically leading up to the dismemberment, okay, in the last days of April before he disappears for 5 days, probably working on cutting up this body, he posts several TikToks and he floods the market and he finishes his promo run. Then he withdraws and allegedly cuts up this body. So this is what he's posting. We got a #1 album debut on Spotify. Thank you all. He's so happy. So he's just living his life, going on, loving life with his album, performing well, with a body rotting in his property. All right. Listening to you and I again. We need more of this on the Withered Deluxe album. And again, if you look at his hand, that ain't the same clean cut looking skull that we saw previously, is it? That's looking more like a wound with like not a skull, sorry, a cross. Barely even a cross underneath it. That's looking like a wound on his hand. So very, very suspect stuff that's going on here, okay? And he's just snitching on himself nonstop. So he does this bullshit over and over again. Was Afterlife a good outro for the album? I don't know. I really love it. I hate this guy, man. I actually hate this guy's face. I'm tired of this guy's face. Tired of this guy's face. I wanted to catch that fade when I saw him in court. I'm not going to lie. Him bopping his head. He's going to be doing that in the county for sure. He's going to be bopping his head if he gets out of, if he ends up in Gen Pop, he will be bopping his head for sure. Anyway, all right. After allegedly taking 5 days off to cut up the body and disappear from social media after being a prolific digital weirdo that just posts all the time, narcissist, he finally makes his first post. So this will be his first TikTok post after allegedly destroying the body. And he said, Afterlife Live is going to hit different on tour with a crying face. Give me a break. So this is the same song that had him crying on stage. And he's taken 5 days off to cut up the body, allegedly. And now he's talking about Afterlife Live going to hit different on tour. Now we know why. Now we know why it's going to hit different. Now, several months pass. He thinks he's gotten away with it. Nothing happens. And that's when we get to September the 7th, 2025. And this is Celeste's birthday when David announces the deluxe edition of his album, Marcescence, the Withered Deluxe. Every song written exclusively by me on my phone, baby. This is a passion project. I put it together to make sure I didn't lose the raw emotional weight that my music carries and how much it means to you all. Thank you to all of the friends who collaborated with me on this. Everyone ate their verses up, all right? And that's his homies. That's his homies, all right? A lot of people said it looked like this was an arm cut off, all right? Super creepy. Super, super creepy, okay? Now, you might have already seen this, but the word marcescence has a very distinct definition.
Marcescence?
This is all related to decay, rotting of bodies. Withered already relates to it, and marcescence does too.
Is the phenomenon of trees keeping their dead leaves throughout the winter. Oaks are especially known as marcescent trees, but marcescence can be found in many other types of trees, especially when they're younger. Marcescence is a poetic word in much the same way
Especially when they're younger, bro. Fucking come on.
that petrichor, the earthy, warm smell after a much-needed rain, is. I am stubbornly devoted to these limited use case words. I cling to them and refuse to let go, much like a marcescent leaf clings to its branch through the long, cold winter. Marcescence is the phenomenon of...
Bro. Just the fact that it's just, you hear all these details, oh, and it relates to, you know, more like younger trees. And it's just like, bro, this guy is twisted. He was obsessed with death and murder. And I think that all of the music, all of it, was related to what happened. That's just my opinion. So on September the 9th, 2025, this was just a day after Celeste's body is discovered in the Tesla, David would pop out in a shirt that said 97. Very interesting. David's last footage after the body was found and a day before Celeste was identified, he's wearing a shirt that says 97 on it. Now, some people think that this is a little hidden message. Okay, you got 97 on the T, 97. It says the very next day, he wore a 97 shirt, and that's Celeste's birthday, the 7th of September. And he continued the tour as if nothing happened until September 16th. The very next day, the body was identified as Celeste Rivas, then he cancelled the tour. The nerve of him to wear that shirt, looking unhinged in all of the moments, laughing, throwing laboobos, and having a good time is beyond sick. He looks like his breath stinks. He's an ugly, stinky PDF. That sums it up. Okay, so look, I think he probably did plan this, honestly, and it is just my opinion. Everything's alleged in my opinion, but I think he probably did plan this in January. I think that he knew he was rumbled and he was paying off the friends in Lake Elsinore. I think that that was his plan. He allegedly gave out a few $1,000s to kids to keep quiet about the situation. I don't think it was working, so I think he brought Celeste back into his orbit in December and January. I don't think that worked out because then he was talking about, I'm just so painfully sad at the moment. And then I think it was that period. I think it was probably February, in my opinion, 2025, that he made the decision that he was going to do this. And he planned it out. I think he planned the ambush for April, had her come round in the midst of all of his album stuff going on. And he did the deed, allegedly, in my opinion. That's just what I think. But let me know what you guys think of that timeline, man. I'll be back. I do have another David video I want to film today, but I don't know if I'm going to have time. I need to pop out. Got some family stuff going on right now. But I will have 2 videos for you guys very soon. Could be today, could be tomorrow. I've got a UFO video. But yeah, that's the latest on David. And I do think it's bad news. Okay. So I'll catch you guys in the next video. That's what I think happened. Let me know your thoughts down below and I'll keep you guys posted. And there should be some more court dates soon. And I'm hoping to pop out maybe in like 2-3 dates time. Maybe I'll keep you guys posted. But thank you so much for watching and supporting. And I will have more info for you guys soon. Appreciate it. Peace.